I was thinking about everything I was going to say to him. I was just like, it was all the way up to here. I'm just thinking about how mad I was going to be, how angry that I was just going to just let him know how I really felt before I can even open my mouth, James. I think my mouth was just locked, and he started confessing, saying, "Son, I'm sorry. I wasn't there for you." He said, "I want you to forgive me."
In this episode of the Man to Man podcast, we're going to be jumping into a conversation with my friend Jackie Kidd as we talk about how he reconciled with his father after 40 plus years. So let's jump into this conversation with my friend Jackie Kidd. Welcome to the Man to Man podcast. My name is James. We have a guest here, the living legend, man, the legend of Hattiesburg, Mr. Jackie Kidd, hanging out with us today. Man, I don't know if you know this, but you're going to be one of the first of many guests that we're going to be having in 2025, man. That's our goal for this channel, is to get more men of God on this podcast, man, sharing your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge to the men who are watching, man. So, man, as we get started, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how you doing today, man?
I am doing well, doing well. I am blessed, and I'm, as I say, blessed and highly favored.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm married to Sonia Kidd,
Mhm.
which we've been married 48 years. We have three children. Um, we have Antonio, we have Shay, and we have Aubrey, and then we have three grandsons. In fact, the youngest will be 4 months on tomorrow the 4th.
I think so.
Tomorrow's the 4th.
Something like
He'll
that.
be 4 months old. So, and I work for a pricing company, ran a pricing company. Been with them for the last 5 years. Um, the thing about that is, they had been trying to get me to come to work for them for 30 years, so they saw an opportunity. And when COVID hit, Joseph A. Banks closed up 500 stores, and so therefore there was an open door for them.
Right.
So they came down and asked me if I would come to work for them. Make a long story short, I did. And I'm very happy there, and I believe that I have really done well there for them.
That's good. That's good, man. So you work in, would you say, I guess, retail?
Yes.
Would retail be like your whole span of your career of what you've done the most?
For the most part, it has. I started out with McRae's. Was with McRae's for 20 some odd years. Then saw an opportunity, a business coming to town, which was Joseph A. Banks. And then I worked for them for 11 and a half years. And so, as I said before, I'm with Randy Price and Company, been with them for about 5 years. So, close to 40 years of retail experience. And and then prior to that, I had other jobs, uh, many jobs, to support my family. I believe the head of the household, you should do whatever it takes to support your family, and in a good way.
Yeah.
So I've been really blessed with that, and life has been a journey for me, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the podcast.
Yeah, man. So let's take a step back a little bit, man. Let's talk about where are you from. I don't think I know where you are actually from, born and raised and stuff like that.
Born and raised in Hattiesburg.
Okay.
Um, my mom was a single parent. Um, I born here, and like I said, born here, and it's been it's been good. It's been good. It's been good, but it's been a journey,
Yeah.
and we'll get into that.
Yeah, I got you. So you say Hattiesburg. Did you go to Hattiesburg High and all that kind of stuff?
Bird hop until my junior year, and I left and moved to Washington State. My dad was in the military, and so I finished up there.
How was it in Washington State? That's like the other side, like above California, right? That side, right? That Washington.
Yeah, that's almost as far as west that you can go.
Yeah. Without being in
It was good, but I had challenges even there. As a teenager, it was very challenging because my dad and I, we didn't grow up together. My dad didn't. He wasn't a father for me. Like I said, my mom was a single parent, but out of, I think, guilt, and um, he sent for me. It was like a 20-year span since I've seen him, and then I had a need to look him up, tried to find out where he was living. And so, through a cousin of mine, I was able to get that address, and I sent him a letter in the mail and just kind of tell him how I felt. And I have a need to see him, and I just needed some closure in my life. And so, he did send for me. And at that particular time, he was married. And his wife didn't want to accept the fact, number one, that I'm his son and I look so much like him. There were some challenges between me and her, and which caused a lot more bitterness between me and him because he took sides with her.
Yeah. So that I guess your junior and senior year
Yes.
of high school
Yeah.
you spent with him.
Yeah.
Did and you said that time you said it kind of didn't really help the relationship?
It really didn't. It
Yes.
really didn't help the relationship. In fact, that it got to a point that I moved in with my dad's brother, and my first cousin, moved in with them. And I I after school, I just kind of got a job and start working and saving my money to get back to Mississippi.
Yeah.
You know, I took the high road to try to find him, and found him, and but that still wasn't any closure there, because the fact that I wanted to know why. There's a why. Why didn't you abandon me? No child is asked to be born, you know. And so uh, that closure went with me. That went with me a long time, up until um, 18 years later. I would get a call from him. In fact, I would take the high road because I would call him every Father's Day. I would call him Christmas, and I would call him every holiday just to wish him a happy holiday. In spite of what he didn't do for me, I still was a son. I believe, regardless of what the circumstances are, regardless of what you go through in life. Uh, the Bible says, honor your mother and father. You honor them anyway, and then what they didn't do, then they would have to face God for that.
I just want to jump in right here to let you know that this conversation with Brother Jackie is only the first of many conversations that we plan to have this year. If you're familiar with the content that we make on this page, you know that Men to Men is not just me, but I also partnered with my brother Raph Peters. And our goal this year is to bring men on this podcast in this type of format to help you honor God with every single part of your life. We'll have guys who will talk about money. We'll have guys talk about fitness. We'll have guys just sharing their testimony. Man, there's endless possibilities to the conversations that we're going to have this year. So to make sure that you don't miss any of it, make sure that you are subscribed to the Men to Men podcast, or if you're listening to this on the audio, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or any other platform, make sure that you do what you have to do to make sure that you get updates and notifications when we drop new episodes. So let's go ahead and dive back into this conversation with my friend Jackie Kidd. That's something, man. And I know a lot of guys watching maybe in that season now, even in their life, where they are growing up without a father, or they're young adults, or maybe even trying to start a family, and they've never really had that connection. We actually had my dad on the podcast a couple times, man. He shared about his relationship with his father, which I mean, it it wasn't it wasn't really in any existence. Like, he knew him. Um, I even believe he stayed pretty close. Um, but it was just no real just connection. And there were in and out types of conversations and different things like that. But it was never anything that actually was settled until he was on his deathbed.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to tell you is that that I recall, and so this one instant was Father's Day. You know, remember when you that they had the telephones and when you trying to call somebody and you get a beep? Okay, my dad was beeping when I was trying to call him. He called me out of the blue, and I thought this was very odd. So he said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm fine." He say, and he just went on right into it. He said, "Well, I went to the doctor to get my glasses changed. I had an eye examination, and the doctor didn't had some spots in my eyes, and the doctor just wanted me to get a chest X-ray and just see what was going on, and found out he had inoperable cancer, lung cancer. So I thought about it, and I this was in June, Father's Day in June. I remember if it was yesterday. Uh, I took a flight out there uh, in November. It was just right before Thanksgiving. And James, I was thinking about everything I was going to say to him. I was just like, it was all the way up to here. I'm just thinking about how mad I was going to be, how angry that I was just going to just let him know how I really felt, you know, and all the things that I went through when I was out there, you know, and it's because of the fact that he didn't stand up for me. I was just, I was a mess. Right. And on my flight, I'm thinking, and so time I got there, my feet hit the ground. Um, all that vanished, and I'm thinking, what happened to the way I was feeling? What happened to the anger? All of a sudden, all of a sudden, once I got there, uh, I said, I'm gonna set up a schedule with you, Dad. I just want to just us, just me and you, have some me and you time. Okay, so we did, and so uh, I before I can even open my mouth, James, I think my mouth was just locked, and he started confessing, saying, "Son, I'm sorry. I wasn't there for you. I wasn't there for you." And he said, "I want you to forgive me." And so the very first words came out of my mouth is that all we have is right now. Let's make the best of it. So you got to understand, this was the week of Thanksgiving. That was reconciliation,
Right.
going on during that time. And so I embraced him, and he just cried on my shoulder. And so I don't have the ring on, but he gave me a ring. He said, "This is a ring, and it signified that we have bridged the gap of our relationship." And so um, and then we just loved on each other, you know. And so Dad didn't know Christ, so I was able to pray with him, and he accepted Christ the same week.
Man, come on now.
Accepted Christ the same week.
Wow.
And I say that because it's never too late. But yes, again, it can be too late if you don't, if you carry, and that's baggage when you carry um, uh, being upset. Sorry about that.
No, you good, man.
Being upset,
Some tissue for you.
you that's baggage, and you have to release that baggage. No matter what it costs you to do that,
Yeah.
you have to do that.
Yeah.
And so, 2000, they gave him a year. That was the year of '99 when I went out there. They gave him a year, and he died in 2000.
Yeah.
And I flew back out there, and I stood at the end of his bed, holding his hand till he took his last breath. And when he died, I just fell apart because I felt like um, I was a kid with a new toy, and I feel like somebody took it from me,
Mhm.
you know. And um, I get very emotional when I start talking about it because the fact that we were able to uh, reconcile, you know, and I took everything that I didn't have, everything I didn't have, I let it go.
Wow.
Everything that I was carrying, I let it go. And I had a peace about it. I knew one thing for two things for sure, that I reconciled with him, and then he accepted Christ.
Man,
Powerful.
that's awesome, man. I heard you tell that story before. Not in that depth. I think you maybe told this to a group of teenage boys at a quarterback club. And man, it's so many guys that don't get that opportunity. And whether it's the dad or the bitterness, like you said, that keeps them from, reaching back out if the father reaches out, man. But it says something about the power of forgiveness that really just healed you. And I feel, just from hearing that story again, man, I feel like the healing started even before your dad said, "I'm sorry," right? You understood the power of forgiveness. You still had the bitterness, man. You had the lockjaw when you were on that airplane, man. But it's just the Lord just kind of just helped you to release that. And man, my prayers for guys who are watching this, man, that they can see that. Like, if you have the opportunity, if it's available, man, to first forgive, whether dad says he's sorry or not, and then take whatever opportunity you have, like you said, to spend time, if it's safe, because some dads just ain't safe to be around, man. And it's sad. It's the truth. But man, that's just an awesome opportunity that you had, man. I thank you for sharing that, man. Like I said, man, I've heard it before, man, but just hearing the story again, man.
Yes.
It's just cool.
And James, I've crossed down through the years. I've had so much peace about it. And it gave me a little bit more determination how to take care of my family, how to take care of my kids. I want them to have what I didn't have, and that's love. That's embrace. My daddy had never embraced me with a hug until that very moment. And my advice to young men out there, if you don't have a relationship with your dad, find a way to have that relationship before it's too late.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So at this time, you said it's 2000, 2001 ish. How old are you at this time?
Oh gosh.
Make it think of.
Oh my goodness.
If you don't want to show your age now, I mean, you're looking good.
I'm just trying to think. That was 2000. I was probably in my late 40s or close to 50, late 40s.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You had that opportunity later in life. Well, say later in life, but I mean, you pretty grown at that moment.
But life is about a choice. Even not growing up with my dad. At the age of 9, and we'll get into this too. At the age of 9 years old, I found out that life has a purpose, and that purpose is a gift. And you have to take what God has given you and embrace it. Even as a child, when you become the accountability of understanding as of why I have this gift, So it's something that you have to embrace.
Man, this conversation was amazing with Brother Jackie today. Now, here's the thing, y'all. This is only part 1 of a 3-part series that we're going to be doing with our brother, Jackie Kidd. Man, he shared his testimony about reconciliation. He's also going to share some insight on business and sales and different things like that, and finances. And he's also going to share a great, amazing story of how God healed him through a tough time in his life where he had some major health issues. So to make sure that you don't miss any of that, make sure that you are subscribed, make sure that you are putting on notifications and do whatever you have to do, whether it's on audio or on YouTube, so that you don't miss any of these conversations. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Men to Men podcast. We'll see you in the next one.